The recording is in progress.
Oh, man. All right.
All right. I got my permissions. I'm good.
Ready?
Yeah.
I'm ready too.
All right, dude. Let's do this one.
Got some good stuff to talk about.
Totally.
Even outside the podcast stuff. But. All right. 3, 2, 1. With the programming, I'm Chase Ingram.
I'm Captain America.
And along with me is Bill Grundler.
Wolverine.
Bill, I have a question for you.
I got an answer for you.
Do you know who I'm working out with this afternoon?
As a matter of fact, I think I do.
Oh, do you?
Well, I think I do anyway.
Well, his name, I call him James, you call him Jim, and it is your brother.
That's awesome.
So here's some fun facts. I get a text from your brother at about 10 o'clock at night, because you guys on the West Coast forget the rest of the world is ahead of you.
Totally.
He's like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? I'm in town visiting my brother. And I was like, well, I got 2 questions. What are you talking about?
And who is this? Your phone, who this?
Yeah. He's like, is this still your number? I'm like, dude, we've literally texted within like the last 3 days. And I'm like, in town visiting my brother. And I'm like, question for you. Your brother lives in Dallas? He goes, yeah. I was like, Bill has
told you that.
Mentioned that.
Are you serious? Yeah, I have.
You have not.
How have I not done that?
I don't know, but how did you not even go and visit him when you were here last?
Because that was
that was a little bit of a constrained time.
Yeah, we had it was an in and an out, and I just that one wouldn't have worked out. If I had like an extra day or 2, for sure would have done that. But yeah, that was
yeah. Where I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I didn't know you didn't know that. Now you know. Now you know. Yeah. Huh?
Where in Dallas does he live?
They are. I don't know the address necessarily, but they were like McKinney for a while, and then where they are now is. Dude, I don't know the places. Let me pull it up real fast. I just know it. I know it mostly by. Oh yeah, Plano.
Oh yeah, that's where my wife's parents live.
Yeah. So yeah.
Cumberland
Trail.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. That's just outside.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So they do. They're over there. He's an art teacher. His wife's like a district supervisor for art programs and stuff like that. So they're in the educational system. You know.
What do you know? What school district or what high school? Or is it high school?
He's junior high. Okay. So whatever. Oh man, I want to say it's Plano Junior High, but I don't really know if that's the name of it or not. Honestly.
How long have they been out here?
Oh man, years.
Really?
Long time. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That is super cool.
Yeah, crazy, huh?
It's weird if like my wife went to one of his schools. I don't know how long they've been out here, but.
Well, not that long.
Okay.
So they came out there in their adult life.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting, fun fact.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I'm gonna.
That's how I know you guys' weather is so jacked up out there, because it's like, oh yeah, it's a snowstorm. Oh yeah, it's a heat wave. Oh yeah, it's a rainstorm. Oh yeah, it's a tsunami. It's not tsunami. Probably we get some of those. You guys are so weird out there. Tornado, hurricane, you name it, you got it.
That's true. We do.
Weird.
Well, yeah, that's super fun. But yeah, I'm excited to see your brother.
Oh, that's cool though. Yeah, he told me he was gonna try and hit you up.
Yeah.
He told me he was gonna try and hit you up. So that's cool. You guys are working out.
Mm-hmm. And then I guess he's
dude, you get to meet Luke before I do?
Why? Maybe if he brings them. I hope I do, Bill.
Jerk. Jerk.
We'll see. I don't know if it's just going to be him, but yeah, he's going to come by the gym. We'll do a little workout.
Oh, that's cool.
We gotta, if he wants to do what we're doing, we're talking about this earlier, and just started a brand new training cycle at the gym. And our Tuesdays it's kind of like interval barbell cycling. And we'll alternate snatches one week and cleans the other. But today is 4 sets, one every 6 minutes of 15 touch and go snatches, full at 50% of your max. It's like a little wind sprint.
Yeah, totally.
Barbell cycling. So
I like it.
yeah, super simple. It went way better than I thought it was going to this morning. I was like, oh, this is too light. And then I watched like the first heat of the first round. I go, oh, this is going to be good.
When the first round is like super easy, you're like, okay, come into my web, said the spider to the fly.
Exactly. But yeah, I'm excited to see your brother. But I thought it was funny. I can't talk that much shit about like your brother being in Dallas. My younger brother is in Dallas, and I see him like only on the holidays. So I am the world's worst older brother. So I can't talk any crap about any of that. So
I get it, man.
Yeah, a little fun. It was cool. We see James today.
Yeah, that'll be rad. That'll be really cool.
And maybe I'll meet the new addition to the Grunler family, the Grunler male.
Luke. Now he can finally say, I am your father. You know he's gonna say it like every day too. He's gonna wake up. This is what it's gonna be when he's like when Luke grows, as he's growing up, getting ready for school. Luke, I am your father. Get out of bed now.
He should. I'm going to do it with my son, whose name is Dylan. And every time he comes back from high school, I'm like, Dylan, son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch.
And my wife will look at me with disapproval. I was like, not you. It's a movie quote, honey. You don't get it.
That's funny.
It's getting played out. I'm like, never. Never, ever. Well, some other fun news. We want to talk about our partners of the show. This is going to be our Analyzing the Programming series, the 2012 regionals, this is when stuff started to get real, like real. The events have elevated exponentially. I personally am very happy you're saying that, because this was actually my peak performance time. Is like the best of my high point of my CrossFit competition career, I guess. Geez, the closest I've ever made to the open games. Yeah.
I love the fact you're saying it got real, because man, thank God it was actually real. Then I could say it's like, okay, got a little validation on that. That's good,
bro.
I'll take it.
It's our second year of standardized programming, and they ramped it up quite a bit. I remember this year seeing the events come out, and I go, oh, this is different.
Yeah.
This is like the CrossFit Games that, it's like harder than it was in 2010 type program. Yeah. So we're excited to get into that. We're excited to analyze that. Before we get to that, we want to thank our partners of the show, Bubs Naturals. I'm so glad their MCT oil powder is back in stock, although it's about to be out, is what I've heard. So if you guys are running low, or you're like halfway for the, I don't know if you do this with like laundry detergent or like dishwashing soap, but I always have 2. And as soon as I advance to the second one, I go and buy the next one. So I have like a whole bottle buffer, right? And I do the same thing with my MCT oil powder. Like I'm about halfway through one bag. I have a backup bag ready. But as soon as I'm done with this bag, I order the next one, because I've learned my lesson the hard way.
Let me tell you the easiest way to do that. And this is a Bubs hack right here.
Ooh, Bubs hack.
So I get my collagen protein is in those nice plastic bottles, those nice plastic containers.
Bubs, yeah.
Okay. When you're out of one of those, don't throw it away. Clean it out. And then that's what you put your MCT oil powder into. So you take your packet, which is like, the nice flat packet and everything. And, you open it up and powder shoots all over the place and everything. You don't have to do that. You put one in, you can actually just about get 2 in that.
Oh.
And then there's your double package right there. And
that's great.
It's a nice container. I mean, granted, okay, it's not like squishing down as you get down, but it makes it so easy to get in there. You don't get like the powder. You know how it is, man. You get the powder all over your hand and stuff. No. I can take a nice dip with the scoop, tap it on the side to make sure I get my nice appropriate amount of my MCT oil powder, and then pop it in my coffee. I'm telling you, dude. That's
a great idea. And
they stack nicely.
The timing is perfect, because I just emptied one of my tubs of collagen protein this morning.
And if you keep buying those, then Dylan and Blake have something to put like Legos in and other little toys. I mean, dude, I got those down at the gym. We have like screws and stuff. I'm telling you, man, Bubs hacks.
I like it.
Yep.
Well, if you guys want to get yourself some tubs, do yourself a favor.
Get some tubs, some Bubs tubs.
Just empty tubs. No, do yourself some Bubs tubs.
Oh my gosh, we're so bad.
Oh, we apologize.
Bubs tubs, double Bubs or Bubs tubs.
Double Bub. At least we're not doing the like double scoop thing anymore. Go to bubsnaturals.com. Use the code GETWITH20 for 20% off every order every single time. And know that you're doing something more than just for yourself, because Bubs Naturals donates 10% of all of their profits, and they donate that to charity. And it's just it's a wonderful company to be a part of. I'm very thankful that we get to be a part of that, aside from just how great their products are in general. So just a great thing Sean Lake's got going on over there at Bubs Naturals. So I appreciate them being a part of the show. Bill, new training cycle, which means for me is my hands are a little sore from yesterday. We had 100 chest bar pull-ups in my workout. Now it was in EMOM, so it was spread out nicely. So it was a nice way to get volume in. But my baby hands, I got through 8 sets. It was like a 3-minute deal, so it was a 30-minute EMOM. So I got to 80 pull-ups, and then by about after round 8, my hands were like, "No, sir, we're not going to do that anymore." So I hit the NOS, too close to missile switching to guns, and I pulled out my Element 26 cheat grips. They're not cheat grips; they're just amazing grips. It feels like you're cheating, and throw those suckers on, and it was like candy the rest of the way through my workout. So I'm glad to have them as a partner of the show. The thumb tape in a league of its own. Dude. In a league of its own as far as simplicity to apply. It stays on the whole time, and it comes off easy with no residue on your thumbs. That was, I'm so glad we found them.
Okay, so last week we were talking about the bear complex.
Oh, yes.
And I did the heavy bear complex. I sent you that one video. And I'll say, if you're trying to do 30 heavy bear complex reps over the course of a long, I think we gave ourselves 25 minutes to do it. I did not finish, but that's okay. Dude, thumb tape aplenty, man. Needed it. It was huge. That was such a big deal. Such a big, like when you're going for that many heavy cleans like that, you need to have that. Whether you're barbell cycling or you're going heavy cleans like that, thumb tape, it's so good.
Oh yeah, it was great. Thumb tape, belt. I'd have the belt up for 225. Jeez. But they've got everything. They've got thumb tape, grips, belts, knee sleeves, anything you need for your CrossFit accessories. Go to element26.co. Use the code GETWITH15 for 15% off all U.S. orders every time you order. And if you stop in there, if you're going to get anything, get after that thumb tape. It is the best that CrossFit has to offer as far as what Element 26 makes for your training, but they have all kinds of things for you guys. And I didn't put this up, but I recorded a video yesterday of my last round of the workout. So what we did it was like a 24-minute EMOM, and we had 3 different movements. One of them was chest bar pull-ups and push jerks and like double unders. Yeah. But then after 8 rounds, which would get you to 24 minutes, we took a minute break, and then we did a doubled bulk set for time. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so I like that. Minute 1 was 50 double unders. Minute 2 was 10 chest bar pull-ups. Minute 3 was 5 push jerks at 185. You took a minute break after 8 of those rounds, and then did 100, 20, and 10 as fast as you could. Nice. A little training and a little testing is kind of the idea there. Yeah. And so for the last round is when I threw my grips on. I was doing is like, you know what I need to do? I'm going to set up my camera in like a minute. Ran on my phone, pulled up the Wattproof app, set it up, took a video. I think I'll post it later. You should. I'll post it later. But I was like, I got to get some video proof of this because I bet a friend that I could break 2 minutes. He did not believe me. I was like, well, then I need proof. And I need video proof. Dude, and I did go, and you got to go 147. Oh, dang. Yeah. That's good. I was cooking. That's good. Yeah, and right now is the best time. This part of the season is always really, really interesting because the games are over. People are kind of done with their relaxing time. Mm-hmm. And now all the qualifiers are starting to come out. All the qualifiers. I just saw that drop. Yeah. So there's a bunch that are out there. And so not only do you need to get your video, submissions, and you want to have, a great counter, and the nice thing about what Wattproof does is you could find the qualifier on there. They'll have the
the description of the workout and everything already posted, so you can just kind of hop in on that by searching for that. But not only can you do that, but you can actually improve yourself, get yourself ready for whatever big competitions you have coming up by signing up with their Pro Pack. They have their 12-week programs that are in there. They have all the lifting style stuff. They have strength. They have Olympic lifting. They have gymnastics. They have rowing. They have engine type stuff. They have masters type stuff. They have everything you need out there to improve yourself. So their Pro Pack is $9.99 for a month, or you can use our code GETWITH and you can get 20% off a 3-month subscription. And you're right, man. You got to get the video proof. If not for yourself, if not for a submission for yourself, so you can see how you're doing, see how you're moving. And one of the things we haven't really done yet, and maybe we talked about like wanting to put together our little competition and everything like that, is maybe we do a kind of a head-to-head comparison with some videos of some people where you can have someone do a video and then you can set yours up right next to them. So then you can basically run, head-to-head sprints or head-to-head competitions with people like that. I think pretty cool.
I like that.
Yeah. So, but use the code GETWITH and get 20% off a 3-month subscription. Got to do it.
Gotta do it. Get with all around. Get with 20 with Bubs. Get with 15 for Element 26, and get with for our WOD-proof app. So I want to thank our partners of the show. This is just a great addition of what we do, and we're very thankful to be partnered with them. So here we go. Analyzing the program of the 2012 regionals. We did 2010, where it was the Wild West of 13 regions, and everyone had their own programming. And then last year, in 2011, first year of the Open, first year of standardized programming, and now we're into year number 2. So we did the test phase. We had like the beta year, the 2011 beta year. And now it's time to almost to affirm that this is the right path that we're on, which is regionals, open regionals in games. So as we said before, when we did our own standardized program for 2010, we're like, when you start the weekend, you got to start it off with some panache, right? A little flash, a little excitement. And what they decided to come out with in event number 1 was Diane. 21-15-9, deadlifts at 225 and 155, and handstand push-ups. And that was quite the scene when you looked at regionals across the board. And I had no idea Diane could be as fast as it ended up being than some of the times I saw around the world. But this was one hell of a way to start the weekend.
It was huge. I mean, I think it was just like we were talking about. It not only did it prove, okay, let's do the test, but the way that they did it by starting off with, it's like, hey, we are CrossFit, so let's start off with a named workout, one that is fast and flashy. And I mean, for a lot of people, it's very daunting because the handstand push-ups at the time were kind of a newish thing. Deadlifts at that time, that weight now was not a heavy weight because we just did the year before the 315 with the 21-59, the box jumps. So now it was like, okay, this weight that used to be a big deal is now not a big deal. And so now it's like, okay, how far have we advanced as a group? So you bring the whole world out, not just the local gym communities using this named workout, but setting up that way. And dude, I just remember Chris Spieler, Dan Bailey. I'm thinking, how the hell are we supposed to go as fast as these guys? I mean, I remember coming out on this one and having really no expectation because I just remember the rapid fire piston attack of Dan Bailey. I'm like, God dang, his big yet short arms. What the heck, man? It was crazy.
Well,
crazy. But an awesome event.
Dan basically did it strict. That was
yeah. Well, some people were better. Some people, even now, I know people that can move quicker if they go strict than if they do a full kip, because there's a gradient of how far you're going to bring your legs down. You know what I mean? We didn't know that gradient. It was either you were kipping, which are these big, gigantic legs moving around, or it was, just strict, just basketballing off your head.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a really cool way to start things off. It's always nice. It's always exciting to have a benchmark event. When you use things like Diane, we had Amanda the year before in 2010 and at the games, and then that trickled its way into the regionals in 2011.
it really brings the entire community together, not just the competitors, but everyone, because everyone has seen this at some point or a version of this. So there's, where in the open, that you're competing on the same stage as the biggest names in the world over the course of the world. But now you actually get to see, we've done that workout before. Oh, what did I get? Oh, I got 8 minutes. Oh, these guys are getting 2 minutes. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Note to self, I now know where I am,
And that's a perfect way to put it, because it does draw everyone in, because everyone just kind of leans in to look. He's like, how fast? He's like, hey, what's a classic thing you hear from one of your members or athletes when you explain the workout of the day on the board? They're like, what's a good time?
Yeah.
That's very subjective. If you when you ask that question, it's like
relativity.
yeah, exactly. He's like, what's possible? Like, how fast can someone go? And when you see a benchmark workout thrown at the regional level with, CrossFit's greatest athletes, that draws attention to it. And to do that as the first event, that's when we were talking about when we were establishing our 6-event series when we standardized 2010, is that CrossFit has a knack for, or had developed one of, that first event being something very quick, exciting, fresh, engaging, either one or all of those as part of the first event. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first time we had the box standard.
Yeah, you're right. In the rules, it's you had the fingers. It was the box set up, and it was 32 inches or whatever it was, where your
36
palm had to be inside the tape. The fingers could be outside the tape.
Yeah, 36 by 24. Palm of the hand must remain completely within the area. Fingers may extend to the box, which is what they've had all the way up until, I guess, last quarterfinals when they did 40 and you couldn't touch the tape, which I like better as far as a judging standard.
Totally.
Maybe not as a distance for myself. Narrow the hands a little bit, but yeah, this is the box. The handstand push-up box's first, I guess, unveiling.
But that was the only standard, though. It was, you had to lock your arms out, the normal stuff. Your heels had to be on within your shoulders, within the width of your hands, I believe it was. But they didn't make a big deal about anything else, weird measurements or anything. It was just go
on the wall
fast, just do what you can do. And I'll admit, like this one, I am very flexible through the midline, through like my thoracic spine. So I could get very Brooke Wellish on this and have that big old arch.
Oh yeah.
And so you end up pushing out rather than up. And, again, this was the first big race with speed.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think the standard that they had was appropriate.
Right.
And then after that, it was like, okay, do we need to make some adjustments? And I think that's where they tried to do it. But I don't know. Myself, it was like, look, what's the intent? The intent is we want your arms locked out and go fast.
Yeah.
So just do that. I thought it was good. I thought this test was so fun to start off this way.
Yes. Was this your best event finish in your career across the board?
Event finish?
Event finish. Diane.
Won
this in your region, right?
Probably. Yeah, I won this in my region. I beat Rich in this one, which was cool. Rich Froning. Down, biatch. Probably, which is really strange because I wouldn't say that these would be my best move. Like I was decent at the movements, but I wouldn't say that they would be my best moves. Any of the overhead squat pull-up ones would be pretty. I'd be pretty good with those ones too.
I would, as we go further, I would, if someone is like, hey, which one is Bill going to be the best at? I would have picked event 4, but we'll get there.
Yeah, me too. Right. I got a story about that one too. We'll save that one. Okay. We'll save that one for the.
I have no stories about these regionals because I was in a sling. So I was just having my coaching hat on. All right, so that's individual event number 1, Diane. Fast, Furious, and then we move into event number 2, which was a 2,000-meter row buy-in, 50 pistols, alternating legs, and then 30 hang cleans, which you had the option to squat clean. But most everybody went for the hang power at 225 and 135. And I find it funny as they use the same weight for the men from event 1 to event 2, but they changed the weight for the women. They dropped 50 pounds. because of that. And what this was, this was that longer event off of the short, fast one. You have all three modalities. You've got your monostructural with the row, you have your gymnastics with the pistols, and then you have your weightlifting with the hang power cleans. And is this our first? Well, I guess they might have had some type of pistol in the 2010 regional era. I can't remember if there was any programmed there, because we had pistols show up in 2010 at the games.
At the games, yeah.
But maybe this is, again, one of those movements that made its way at the regional level.
I think it was. And I remember 50. I mean, maybe there were some, and I honestly, I'm surprised I can't remember this, but I remember thinking, holy shit, 50 is a lot. I remember thinking that. I mean, because we weren't used to the volume of that at this time. And what I remember on this event was oh man, we're trying to get the right people to the games. And it started the idea of the open was fast. The regionals just got ridiculously heavy. And then the games was like kind of all over the place to let you kind of do all the fun stuff, because that 225 for the guys,
dude,
wow, man.
Heavy.
It was heavy. I remember it burying people. There was nobody. I mean, now you would see people that could, they'd do the whole bouncing off their legs and they would, rep this thing out. But then the feel of that was absolutely nuts. And I remember, the strategy wise, okay, am I going to do sets of 5? How am I going to do this? I don't know how I'm going to do this. And the catches people were taking with their feet. I mean, you're doing like the Patrick Star, SpongeBob split, trying to get under this thing, the limbo under the bar, whatever you want to look at. It was heavy. And everyone was great for the first 10. And then it just got dicey for that last 10. And you're racing, you're trying to go fast.
Well, it was all one big lead up to those 30 hang power cleans.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Like navigate your way through the pistols. And yeah, that was a lot. That was a big set. I think at the games, the most they had in a round was 14.
Yeah.
In 2010, and they had heavy deadlifts and double unders mixed with that and some running across the field, but it wasn't like super intense. But 50 in one bulk set.
One shot
coming off a 2K row, which ended up just being like, everyone knew that it came down to the last hang power cleans. So what ended up happening, I don't think it's one of those where people changed the event and how to approach it because of what ended up being like the main piece of the event, which was those hang power cleans at 225 and 135. So what everybody did was they rode slow, they did pistols
totally,
slow, and then put all their effort and energy into the cleans.
Well, they had to, and I'm pretty sure that they standardized what the setup was. Yes. I remember we were doing our pistols. I mean, okay. So everyone if you saw pistols, boom, lifters were on. Everybody put the lifters on. So everyone's wearing their lifters, so we're rowing with the lifters. We get onto the mat with the lifters. And then it was a mat. And I hadn't really done pistols in a squishy Dolomer mat. And so you're like trying to keep your balance as you're doing that. And, the standard was the front foot couldn't touch the ground. Your hands couldn't touch the ground. You had to come all the way up, stand all the way up before your other foot came down. So there was a lot of these weird balance things that if you just did it on the hard rubber stall mats at the gym, which were very stable, this was not. So there was a whole nother element into that, and there was a lot of changing of your strategy. Like you had your plan and then it would change as you're kind of going. Like you do your first 5-6 pistols, you're like, oh, okay, I need to change my plan a little bit. Then you get to the hang clean, you're like, oh, I need to change my plan a little bit again.
Yeah. And one thing between event 1 and event 2, and this happened a few times, is that yes, the weight on the bar is the same, but a hang power clean at that weight is drastically more difficult than just a deadlift, right? And what we would see is we would see athletes who would like win event 1 and then get last or DNF event 2.
Yeah.
I think we saw more of that, I think, on the women's side than we did on the men's side. But one thing they had in here, and I don't remember them actually doing this after this year, but they had a minimum work requirement that if you didn't get to it, you were disqualified from competition.
Yeah.
And what it was 10, you had to get at least 10 of the hang power cleans or hang cleans by the 17-minute time cap, then the athlete will not advance to the next event if they don't get 10. And that happened in every regional.
Yeah.
And usually the person that got disqualified was in like top 10, top 5 after Diane. Because that really came down to the handstand push-ups, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So if you were just this little gymnastic freak Mighty Mouse, and then you got this smashed in your face with a 2K row, not advantageous to a smaller athlete. Pistols are the pistols, you should be fine there. But the weight that it was that was it. It doesn't look like much now, but that was heavy.
That was ungodly heavy. Like that was a set that people did not put in their training. They didn't do 30 reps of hang cleans at 225 and 135 or 155, whatever. Like that just wasn't
not
normal.
A bulk set.
No way, not like that. So this whole programmed region.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really, like everybody's eyeballs just like blew wide open. And this right here started the trend that at the end of the regional, everyone would now train what that last regional was. And then you come to the next year and you'd be like, but wait a minute, I just did all the strength stuff. What do you mean we got to do gymnastics? And then you do all the gymnastics and then boom, all the heavy stuff comes back again. It was hysterical that, generally speaking, our community just couldn't get ahead of the ball. We were always 1 year behind with our trainers. Like, what was regionals? Oh, it was really heavy? Okay, time to go heavy.
Yeah, exactly. There was and that's one thing I actually want to talk about when we get through these is how I felt like 2012 specifically like birthed a lot of different like programming.
You remember the strength bias stuff? Yes. All the biases, man. Yeah.
So, we'll touch on that at the end. One thing at event 2 before we move on to the event 3 is that we said that the limiting factor of this event, which is the hang cleans, changed the way people approach this. And I feel like that changed the way Dave actually programmed it. And a lot of people were thinking, he's like, it made the row worthless and it made the pistols not a part of the intensity. If you had just gone the other direction. So you started with the hang cleans fresh. There you could have more action there. And then you get to the pistols warmed from the cleans and prepping for the row and then having to finish
race at the row
and race on the row. It would have made every movement more intentional and I would say more important than going the direction that they did.
I could totally see that. I will say this though, like how many times have we had I know we just did it in the 2011 where you had the run, the handstands, and then the row. So everyone actually raced the row. But I mean, you look across the board of all the competition that we do, rarely do you have the row being the finish of the race. It would be exciting. I mean, but it's really hard to tell where everybody is. So like the excitement part doesn't showcase itself, even though you're right. You would see a lot more earnestness on that rower with people just bleeding themselves on that thing rather than like, okay, I have to have a good clip here. Just got to see where everyone else is and kind of hang out and play that pacing game.
Visually, that wouldn't be as good, especially then. Like we didn't have as much markers and identifiers of where people are, especially on a 2K row.
Yeah,
so you wouldn't know where anybody.
I could get behind with what you're saying. I do like the fact that. I liked the battles that were happening on the hang cleans because it made people go faster on those than they wanted to. Mm-hmm. And you saw a lot of people missing a bunch because they just were picking up the bar way before they were ready because they had no choice. They had to. So there ended up being a lot of fails and a lot of redlining on the strength element. That's what's. Even though the intensity, and this is what a lot of people don't really, when you talk to the general gym population, they don't see that 30 reps of this is not an intense workout. It's a very hard workout.
Yes.
But you can only go so fast because if you go up to try to get it and you don't get it, well, the bar comes down and then you're sitting there thinking like, okay, well, how long do I rest? But you're resting during that time to try to do it again. And I remember specifically in our region, we had one of those little ninja guys, Jared Perlmutter, like way back in the day. You know, he could blast the handstand push-ups, any gymnastic stuff. I mean, that's what he called himself. He called himself the ninja, you know, because that was just his thing. And he got to this, and he had to do squat cleans in singles.
Oh,
It buried him. Of course, at the time I was competing, so I'm like, "Ha, you little sucker," you know. But so I liked it. It did give the athletes that didn't have the gymnastic prowess and a feather in their hat. So, you know, I could see what you're saying, but whatever. I thought it was okay.
Oh yeah, it was fine. I was just saying, if you want a more intense event,
yeah, no, 100%.
Go the other direction.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
All right, well, that is event number 2. So we had event number 1, event number 2 for day number 1, and we move into day number 2, which was a Saturday, and we start things off with event number 3, which is 4 rounds for time, 10 single arm dumbbell snatches, and a sprint. It's like, you know, a shuttle.
Yeah, get down and back.
Yeah. The snatch weight, however, 100 pounds and 70 pounds. And I think when this got announced, we're like, they make dumbbells that big?
Dude. Well, it was
movement to another heavy movement with an odd object.
And like we scrambled to try to find something.
Yeah.
So those are hard to come by on the 100-pound side.
Yes.
2, we were able to get, so we bought some and we're like, oh, we just need some heavy ones. You want to know which ones we got? Because they were the only ones they had. Oh, 120s.
No.
Didn't help us because we couldn't get that thing up over our head. That didn't work out. So we had like 75s. I think we had a 75 and we did this massive duct tape job of trying to put metal plates on the outsides and taping the shit out of it, trying to keep it to stay. I mean, I think I still have a picture of it somewhere, and it looks like some weird chalice-looking thing because there's so much tape on it. But, I mean, anything, that's what everyone was doing. It was a rapid scramble to try to find things that heavy. And, dude, I will tell you what. When people complain about 75 or 70 pounds now on the guys' side, I'm like, you guys you don't even know. We didn't know what we were doing, and this weight was heavy, man.
It was
heavy. God, it was heavy.
And it was fast. Like, you just did the heavy hang power cleans the night before.
Totally.
And now you wake up and do not only that, but it's like, it's super intense. Like the speed of the event didn't allow you to back off the pace and go slow on these heavy snatches.
I needed Element 26 thumb tape really bad on these. Really bad to hold on to that sucker.
And it was just brutal. And you got to see the big boys and go out there and just sling this dumbbell around. And it was either you could do it or you couldn't.
100%.
There really wasn't any middle ground.
No. And that was the deal. I remember thinking, just being blown away how some people could go so fast. Mm-hmm. Of course, I had Dave Lipson, I think was in my heat. And so Dave Lipson is this gigantic Thor-ish looking dude. You know, so he's whipping that thing around. And that one was shocking. I remember trying to train for that one, knowing that it was up, trying to throw that thing around and just thinking like, I have no idea how fast are people going to go on this. I have no idea.
Yes.
I have no idea.
Nobody did.
And again, like it was something that no one trained for. No one trained for that heavy. I had done these back in the old days with like incline flies and, dumbbell bench and that kind of stuff, but snatching it up over my head, I'd never done that before. Not in any sort of training scenario.
No.
So yeah, it was shocking, dude. It was shocking.
Well, the other thing too is I'm looking at dumbbell snatches and that's so familiar to me now. But in 2012, the only snatches we did without a barbell was kettlebell snatches.
Yeah.
And that was just from the hang.
Yeah.
So when dumbbell snatches came out, we're like, I'd never thought to do that. You might have done it just by here and there, but it wasn't something that was very commonplace at the time.
Yeah.
Let alone with 100 pounds in 70 pounds. The most ground overhead we saw was in the previous regional, which was 2, but that was 45 apiece.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, that was
it was heavy.
that was gnarly. And you know, it's actually double the weight of what they had the year before with one arm.
Yeah. I mean, 40 reps of that. It's funny that it says sprint on there. And I mean, and there were more people that were sprinting, but it was, you know, depending on what you did, like if you could do the 10 reps fast, okay, like, all right, then you're actually racing somebody. Everyone else is like, okay, that sprint part is my recovery part. Yeah. So I need to make sure I can come back and do the 10 unbroken, you know, so it may be just a little faster than a joggish maybe back.
And yeah, it really was essentially just 40 single arm snatches for time with that weight, because the shuttle sprint was so short. It wasn't like it was a 200 or a 500. We're talking like a down and back on a regional floor, which was maybe 100 feet.
Yeah, it was fast.
100 feet.
Yeah,
because they used 100 feet later in event number 6, and that's what, a whole 30 seconds, maybe 20 seconds. Yeah, not enough time. It was the normal breaks you were taking to begin with between reps, anyways.
Which I would have done if I was walking over to the chalk bucket, you know.
Okay, so that was event 3, and then we move into event 4. So it is fast paced and heavy as event 3 was. Event 4, quite the opposite, and extensively more volume. And so we have a chipper format of squats, pull-ups, and shoulder to overhead at 50, 40, and 30. It starts with back squats at 135 and 95, pull-ups, and then 30 shoulder overhead at the same weight. And then we move to 50 front squats at 85 and 65, 40 pull-ups, 30 shoulder overhead at the same weight, and then 50 overhead squats at 65, 45, followed by 40 pull-ups and 30 shoulder to overhead at the same weight. Now, this was the most volume I would say we've seen programmed in official competition, even more than we saw at like the random regionals in 2010. Anything really we've seen in prior to that, like this was one we're like, whoa.
What was the Helen, the triple Helen? What was the volume of pull-ups on that one?
Volume of pull-ups, so let's see.
Because it was 42, 36, 21. Is that what it was?
Yeah, so it was 63 plus 42 plus 21, 126.
So 6 less than that.
Less, but with 150 squats and 90 shoulder to overhead.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. That's not correct. That's the kettlebell swings. Because it's 30.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
72 was at the games. We did 100.
Okay.
100 pull-ups is the most we did, and that was previously in the hundreds.
Yeah.
In 2011. But 120 pull-ups in total, 150 squats between back, front, and overhead, and 90 shouldered overhead.
I'll tell you right now, anyone who looks at this and is like, oh, yeah, okay, this is 2012, whatever, just try to do 150 back squats out of the gate, racing at 135 and 95. I dare you to go try that right now. It will suck all of the oxygen out of your body, using your legs and your glutes and your quads and everything, to where you get up on the pull-up bar and like your little itty bitty little lats just don't have enough oxygen anymore to do the work you want them to do. And then you go to the shoulders after that. Like this was probably one of my favorite designed regional workouts of all time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I love what it has and how it's set up. I love that it puts everything in there. Yes, but it doesn't do it like a everything but the kitchen sink deal. It's got all the squats, the weight dropping as you get through all the, all the different sets of the different reps and everything. I love what it is. I love what it is. I didn't do what I wanted to in this one, but I love what this event is. It's awesome.
I have a confession.
Okay.
I've never done this event.
You got to do this event.
I want to, but I still look at it from my 2012 eyes because I'm in a sling. I'm very deconditioned. I watch all of these athletes just get completely smashed by it. So I have this
Taste
like
aversion. It's like Kelsey with you, huh?
fear of how hard this one really is. But I look at it with a bit more fresh eyes because I remember this vividly.
Yeah.
Actually, we programmed this when we did when we programmed for that online competition, didn't they? This was one of the events that you pulled out.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
But you're right. This is really cool setup. It's just good old fashioned grunt work because none of this is out of the realm of someone's skill set, someone's strength, someone's work capacity.
Totally.
None of it is for regional athletes.
Yeah.
Going to try to make the CrossFit Games. Like, this was a great test, super long. We needed a high volume one, right? The row, pistol, hang clean, that took a long time just because those were long. They took a long time to do.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of them. Right.
Yeah.
The row, it's 8 to 10 minutes, casual pace. Maybe not so casual if you're talking about 8 minutes, but 50 pistols when nobody was really good at them took 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And the hang cleans took forever, right? We already did Diane, which is a sprint. We did event 3, which is a sprint. Now we have this long, high volume set. So this is our long one of the week in terms of volume and time. And a lot of people got capped here.
Dude, a lot of people got capped. I will say this, depending where you were, I will say this is another little nugget here. This was the event that kept me out of the games this year.
Oh.
Yeah, and this is also the event.
Best stat is the event that kept you out.
Yeah, and this is also the event that made it so that I never, ever touch a pull-up bar ever without grips because of this event. I didn't use grips back in the day. I didn't use grips. I was like, no, you got to get your hands tough. If you're doing your pull-ups right, you don't need, if you have your knuckles on top of the bar, you're going to be hinging at your wrist and all that stuff, which is totally true. I don't not agree with that or not believe that, but we were outside. It was hot. The bars were hot. I'm chalking up. I'm sweating. And I tore my hands on the second set of pull-ups.
Oh.
And I went from doing sets. I mean, I can do sets of 20 to 30. No big deal. Like pull-ups are like breathing to me. They're not hard for me to do. Yeah, I got to where I was doing sets of 2s and 3s because I was bleeding so bad on my hands. I couldn't chalk the wound enough to make it stop.
Damn.
And that was the one. It kept me out because I should have blasted this one. And that was the one that knocked me out. So at the end of this day, I went from first place to third place. And I had a gigantic wound on my hand for the rest of the competition.
Yeah. Well, especially what we have coming up.
I know, dude. I was so bummed.
Factor.
So note stuff again. Sucks. Element 26. Get your.
Why were you not created in 2012?
Oh, and also this was the other part. They talked about you are allowed to use things on your hands, and they made a big deal about if you had anything on your hands. Boz he was down at our region. He would check. He would actually feel your whatever you were wearing to see if it was too sticky or not.
Oh,
yeah. They made a big deal about that.
Gloves made a big, I would say, debut.
Yeah.
Time. And what some people would try to get away with is they would use like wide receiver gloves that people would use in football that had those like tacky things that would latch onto pull-up bars. And that was a no-go.
Yeah.
This is good. This is something that was needed.
100%.
I said event 1, 3 to 5 minute all out. Event 3, not necessarily the same time frame, but the same intensity. 10's heavy, fast. Sprint was irrelevant. Event 2 was a slog skill event, and this was just volume, work capacity, low skill. Go.
Yep.
All right, that's event 4. So we close out day number 2 as we move into day number 3. And we start things off with our heavy event. Well, one of many heavy events. Our third heavy event of the weekend. And is a snatch ladder. But you have to do, how many was it, 20?
I think it was 20.
20 double unders. Let's see. 3, 2, 1, go. You have 50 seconds to move to the platform, perform 20 double unders, and then 1 snatch. And it was any snatch anyway. Split, power, full, just show control, ground overhead in 1 movement. Men started at 155 and then advanced all the way up to 295. Women started at 105 and went up to 185. And again, every set had to start with those 20 double unders. And I really liked this. This was cool to watch. The double under wrinkle was nice. Just to throw something different in there, which didn't make it such a pure lifting event, because we've already had really 2 of those. As far as what the limiting factor of event 2 and 3 were definitely the weight. But this one is like, look, you had to be strong, but if you were shit at double unders, you weren't able to showcase it.
No. And I like the way, I think they needed to find out a way of how to have a tie break for different positions. So that's how you would get your tie break, was how many of those double unders did you, like if you missed your lift, you got to do the double unders, and that gave you partial scores after that. So you see down the,
oh yeah.
So like if you didn't make your lift, you had that whole 50 seconds to get whatever you wanted to get in there. If you didn't make it, then you could do as many double unders in the remaining time, and that became your score. So like if you got 215 but you missed 225, but you got 15 double unders on that 220, you missed it. I'm gonna grab my rope and start doing some double unders. And your score is 215.15, and that's how they would score you versus someone else.
Cool. I forgot.
And then we didn't have anything like that, so it was weird. I mean, you kind of think the double unders is just kind of something thrown in there, but it did give. It brought your heart rate up just a touch as you were kind of moving. It forced you to not think about the lift a ton. Mm-hmm. But then it gave you the element of being able to have that tie break. And we didn't have that in the thrusters back when we did so like everyone hit that 215 mark, in the thrusters, and it's like everybody's there, it's that same thing. So I thought this was a great way to add that and have that element. And it wasn't a lot of double unders. I mean, it was only 20, so it wasn't a big deal. Right. Although everyone's trying to do double unders in lifting shoes, which made it really, really weird,
That might have been a reason why Dave put it in there.
I think so.
Knowing everybody being lifters, okay, what's the thing that we can mess them up and just mess with their heads a little bit? And that mess with people. It's like, how often do you do double unders in your lifters?
And I had my cool doings back then, so I had my nice, wooden soles, pop, 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 as I'm landing on the platform.
Oh, what are those like Dutch clog shoes called? You know what I'm talking about? Is that
clogs? my wooden Holland shoes.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was our snatch event. So we went heavy. We went a high skilled heavy lift with a high skilled amount of structural movement. That is the double under. 20 wasn't a lot in 2012. When you get 5-6 bars in, now you're at 120, 140, and that's if you didn't miss. But I did like the tiebreaker there. Usually you'll see a lift in maybe like the first day of competition, so they pushed it back to the last day of competition. So you weren't fresh. Your hands were ripped to shreds.
Shredded.
Your low back and your legs are just blown out. So now you're snatching under just like fatigue, whether it's just like overall fatigue, adrenaline fatigue, your CNS is starting to get smoked, and now we're trying to do all these like high skill things comboed together. So a lot of different things went into this event other than just being who's the strongest.
Yeah.
So I did like this. It was fun to watch. It was fun to watch, but I saw some like nasty spills and screw ups. I watched one guy, my buddy, his name's Ryan, and he goes to snatch. And when you do that snatch where your elbows buckle, but the bar goes behind your head?
Yeah.
And you get kind of pinned. It lands on the back of his shoulders and then just drives his face into the.
Oh, dude.
And he had to get stitches. Like he left the competition, got stitches, came back because he made the final event. He was in like the top 10. He's like, I'm coming back. And his wife was pissed. He's getting him to stop. I'm like, I am not part of this. I know I'm the coach. However, I am not going to get into like a marital spout of who was right or wrong here. So I'm going to let you guys grown up on your own. As long as the doctor says he does not have a concussion, he can do whatever he wants.
Dude, that's funny.
But yeah, that was cool. All right, then we move into event number 6. Now, I know we talked about when we did our own programming for 2010, is like the finals, like fast and furious and exciting and just like all go. Well, from 2011, that was not the case. That was that sloggy kitchen sink is like, what have we not used yet? Chipper. And then we come to this one, and it's it's just like
literally that,
but on steroids. And it was 3 rounds for time, 7 deadlifts at 345 and 225, followed by 7 muscle ups. So 3 rounds of 7 and 7, followed by 3 rounds of 21 wall ball shots, 20 and 14-pound ball, both going to a 10-foot target.
Way to go, SoCal. Way to go, regionals.
Good job, regionals. 2012. We've strayed away from that since then. Followed by 21 toes to bar, so 21 and 21 of wall balls and toes to bar. Then you would do a 100-foot farmer carry with the 170-pound dumbbells in each hand between men and the women. 28 burpee box jumps at 24 and 20. Farmer carry back. And then why this is...
I have no idea.
3 muscle-ups.
Just cause.
3 rounds of 7 and 7 deadlifts and muscle-ups, 3 rounds of 21 and 21 of wall ball shots and toes to bar, 100-foot farmer carry, 28 burpee box jump overs, 100-foot farmer carry, and then 3 muscle-ups at the end because screw you.
Which is weird because like the numbers are so great.
Yeah.
Until you get down to the end there. And it's like, where did 28 come from? How did that number pop up there?
Well, so I see the 7s of the deads and the 21 of the wall ball shots. So that's where your 28 is. I can see that, but I have no idea why the 3 muscle ups, unless they're like, well,
3 parts, 3 parts,
3s of 7, and then like this little middle finisher with a 3 at the end. Like they're almost trying to get too cute with the numbers.
I don't know.
This event, especially with the deadlifts, right? Heaviest deadlift weight we've ever had programmed.
God, it was so heavy. My back was shot.
We've already done deadlifts.
Yeah.
Already, so you repeated a movement. I don't think there was any reason we needed to do deadlifts again. Aside from my deadlift opinions that I suck at, it's a fine movement, but we've already done it. Wall ball's fine, toes to bar fine. You got this little muscle up couplet and this little gymnastic weightlifting couplet. The farmer carry, burpee box jump overs. The burpee box jump overs, first time doing those.
Yeah.
A lot of firsts. I mean, we'll have a lot of firsts in these early years, but I forget. The farmer carry was enough that after what you did going into that, it was something. But then on the return to those last few muscle ups, it's just enough to just make it uncomfortable. I mean, I know your hands were torn up, so.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. That was what it was. If you're looking perspective-wise, spectator-wise, you should have just taken the 3 muscle-ups off. And what that would have done is that would have ramped up the farmer carry, burpee box jump, farmer carry, because then the race is coming back on the farmer's carry. And that's the race. What happened was everybody came back, and then they stared at the rings.
Right.
And then the final push to the very end was, I mean, if you had someone that could do three muscle ups at that point, cool, they'd get it and they would win. But generally speaking, they were doing 3 singles. Mm-hmm. And it ended up being this not very exciting way to finish. If you made it all the way down to that anyway, like if you would have taken that out, then no one would have been thinking about that. They would have put it all into that farmer, into the sprint, the burpee box jump overs in that farmer's carry, which I think could have been a little bit better of a setup, I think.
Yeah, and this final is another one of those. The idea may have been is like, here's the final. We're just going to see your resolve to finish the weekend. But I mean, those deadlifts were heavy at the time, just watching, and some people were fine with them. Most, it was super challenging. The muscle-ups in there, fine, right? We haven't done that yet. We did the pull-ups from the day before, but whatever. Just,
I will say this: I like elements of this workout, of this event. There are elements in there that I think are good. You could have rehashed this thing so many different ways.
Right.
But I think this one event, I don't want to say, maybe this is too strong of a word. I think it ruins the overall output of what the competition was.
A
Now,
little bit.
in the when we looked at the 2011, we said take the final out, and it would have been perfect.
Yes.
Very similar to this here.
I could see that.
Just because, and not because the pieces, not because we couldn't have had an event that had these things in it, but it just seemed like it didn't fit. It appears that you're looking at your checklist and all the boxes that hadn't yet been checked, you kind of threw in. The fact that we redid deadlifts again, not needed. The volume of stuff that we're doing. We're doing 63 wall ball shots. We just did 150 squats. Back squats, front squats, overheads. Like, do you really need to have wall balls in there too? Right. I just don't think it fits the overall plan of what you're trying to do. Other than, wow, regionals is when it's all hard and heavy, and that's just kind of what it is. That's just kind of what it was.
High volume.
Yeah,
and you're right, because if I just look at this of what it could be, it's like really close to being cool. Like the 3-round format of something, and then another thing, and then something at the end. The 3 muscle-ups at the end is, I don't know why they did that, but
it just seems weird.
How many times it is? It's one of those. It's like, as I go through these through 5, I'm like, cool. I see where this is. It's a little heavy overall, and then I get to this one. I was like, this just makes the other ones, like, it compounds what we've already done. Like,
yeah,
how many times are we going to pull heavy from the floor this weekend?
Yeah,
hang power cleans, dumbbell snatches, snatch ladder.
And now the heaviest deadlifts that we've ever done in competition.
Ever done in competition. And I was like, okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 5 of the 6 events. We're pulling heavy from the floor. 5 of the 6. And then it's high volume again, which we've already done in event 4. Our event 2 time cap was 17. A lot of people got pushed to the edge there, time cap wise. This time cap is also 17 that people got pushed to the edge there wise. Event 4 time cap was 22, which a lot of people got capped with. And then the other 3 were all like 5 minutes or less. And so I feel like we missed something in the middle. And I think this could have been it if we just like tailored it down a little bit. Like, even if you just took the shoot.
Remember we were talking about the 2010 regionals, and the Europe one had deadlifts and muscle-ups, but we weren't sure what the numbers were. This could have been that. It could have been 7-minute AMRAP, 10-minute AMRAP, or whatever. Pick the number of rounds you want and said, okay, 7 deadlifts and 7 muscle-ups, or pared down the numbers even a little bit and just done that.
Right.
If you wanted deadlifts in there and muscle-ups, or do the same type of thing with just take that out and take the end out and just do the wall ball shots and the toes to bar and have that be.
I was going to say that, like, take the wall ball one and put it first. So you have your 3 rounds of 21, take the deadlift one with the muscle ups, but like change the deadlift to like a thruster at 135. So you have it almost as a tougher version with less reps of what you just did, right? So you have your 3 rounds of 21 of the wall ball toes to bar, right? That squat press gymnastic, into 3 rounds of 7 and 7 of squat press gymnastic. And that's it. If you're going to keep any of this, right? But like, we don't need to go heavy on the deadlifts, especially the farmer carry burpee box jump over at the end with the 3 muscle ups. It's like, that was just unnecessary.
We could have done this using the old 21-15-9. You do take out the whole front part with the muscle ups in the deadlift, and you go 3 rounds of 21 wall balls, 21 toes to bar. You do your 100-foot carry down. You do 15 burpee box jumps, 100-foot back, and then you do 3 rounds of 9 and 9. And I would go back and do the wall balls and toes to bar again. Or
Oh,
unless you want to do, whatever one. I would do that. Because I don't think.
what if you
I mean,
just
I know we're missing muscle ups. I know that, but I don't want to put deadlifts in there. I wouldn't want to put deadlifts in there again.
no, not again. Like if you didn't have deadlifts in event 1, fine.
Yeah, no, totally.
Right? Like fine,
Yeah.
but we've already done them, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, we've pulled heavy off the floor 5 of the 6 events. You're right. We're just trying to figure out how we could have made this event fit better.
I will say, because if you look at the overall, like when we get to when we finish this one and you start looking at all the numbers, as much as I personally liked this regional and I had some success in this regional, and like we talked about, this was kind of my, where I ended up best in my career wise. If I look at the programming, we missed a lot of pieces. We missed the mark of what we're trying to do. And again, like it's hard to find out, like, okay, well, what is the purpose of the regionals? And back then we really didn't know. The general was open, was light and fast and heavy, or light and fast in this like buzzsaw. Regionals was heavy. And so it's like, okay, cool, we get that. But are we qualifying? Is it doing the right, like what athletes are we getting into the games? And is it doing that? And okay, heavy is fine, but did the program do the right thing? And I don't know. This one throws it. It throws it.
It does. And so, okay, so look at the event of the whole, right? We've come to 6 events, and as we look at the event of the whole, is that I think this is one of the times where you look at it and there is a bigger, stronger bias.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right? It's like, yeah, you had 120 pull-ups, but chin over bar pull-ups, 40 at a clip is that's not, I would say, a detriment to the bigger, stronger athlete. And at the same time is that, okay, 7 muscle ups times 3, we just did Amanda 975. So we've done this amount of volume before.
Right.
And so the wall ball shots, like that makes it easier. The toes bar, the carries, the burpees. So like this was apparent that the bigger, stronger athlete that had to have the fitness. Right?
Totally. That's how they got here.
Catered to that.
Yeah.
Right. And we saw that with the field that advanced to the games this year. And when we touched on the beginning of this, is that this regional, I felt like really split off a bunch of different like multiverses of how to program and train, which was, okay, all right, now you have to be strong. The programming is getting heavier every year. We had a sample size of 3 years?
Yeah, totally.
It's getting heavier. We need to train high volume. We need to train multiple workouts in a day. And, God, I don't even want to mention this program's name because
you do. I know what you're thinking about it. I know what you're thinking about.
Freaking Outlaw Way.
Dude, totally. I was going to say Rudy.
Yeah, which just totally set CrossFit programming back like a decade. Because like, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take CrossFit.com and the gymnastics course and CrossFit football and CrossFit weightlifting, and we're going to pick the workout of the day and put them all together and do that every single day. That was the genius of Outlaw. And everybody wanted to do it because they had the most athletes at the games that year who did well in 2012. And then they just started getting hurt because it was over-programmed. People were overtraining because of, and we're not saying it was a programming's fault. People just took what happened this weekend and ran with it on their own. Right? This wasn't a product of CrossFit.
Right.
This was a product of people's interpretation of where CrossFit was going.
Well, all they saw was, oh man, everything is heavy.
Right.
So that means I need to train heavy because, well, I mean, and it's
everything was heavy this weekend.
Everything was heavy, and the things that we got put in our face at this region, nobody was training with.
Right.
Or not to the volume of this. So it's like, well, I guess if I'm going to get ready for that, I mean, you like to think that you train above and beyond what you're going to compete for. So you have the capacity to be able to race it. But no one understood what that meant. So obviously this regional program took us way above what we thought we should do. And then how do you program to get better for that? You got to go way above what you think that might be. So all of a sudden, you're right. Like when they came out, the stuff was heavy. And yes, there were athletes that had success because they were strong athletes.
Right.
And so they could hang into that. But the volume started, there was like a diminishing return on that, where like they would get good. There was this pool of these big, strong athletes that would all just crush people when it came to barbell stuff. Mm-hmm. And then as the years kind of came on, those athletes were all breaking down, shoulders going out, knees going out, backs going out, elbows going out. Everything was breaking down just because of the, and I think honestly, I mean, we just didn't know what that was going to look like yet. We didn't know what kind of program was that going to do. If you're lifting correctly, you shouldn't be getting hurt, right? Well, maybe. Obviously not, now that we know.
The volume at which these people were training.
It was nuts.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you look at it, I'm looking at it on this page, right? It has all 6 events right in front of my face. Event 1, 3, and 5. Short, fast, intense, heavy. Event 2, 4, and 6, high volume, high volume.
Yeah.
A lot of different things varied in between. 6 plus 8 different movements with some heavy. Nothing in the middle.
Yeah.
So what a programmer or a novice programmer does, they see that. They see, okay, 2010, it was all this mix, and I look at the games and the weights, they weren't that bad. 2011, still general CrossFit, whatever. And then 2012, you're like, okay, I see a pattern. Or they think they see a pattern.
Yep.
And like, okay, we have to have workouts that are either short and really heavy, or long and high volume and also heavy, or extra volume. And that was it.
Totally.
And that's where people started to train, and that's where programmers started to program. And then everybody loved it because like, oh, this is the regional programming, regional training. Yep. I'm a fake amateur athlete, but I want to pretend like I'm a games athlete. So I'm going to sign up for this, and I'm going to overtrain, and I'm going to get all, and that just drove me crazy to see, because even in 2012, I was like, this is not it. Although there was a flash, like I said, a flash in the pan success, because people did train like that, and the programming matched that, and they had success once.
Yeah.
And it's unsustainable. It's unhealthy. And there was no middle ground, because you did one or the other. You went fast and heavy or long and heavy.
Yeah.
And the variance didn't allow you enough training and breaks and rest to let your body recover and do different modalities. Like, you can let your body recover and still train the next day, as long as it's different.
Yeah. This really started this element is why, when the regionals was removed, why there was such an uproar, because so many people, this was their deal. This is where, how they saw themselves. This is what they trained for. This was their games, because they weren't going to make it to the games, but they were going to be a somebody here, and they would do everything in their power to do that. And a lot of these regional athletes, I mean, they had holes. That's why they were a regional athlete and not a games athlete.
Right.
But where they were good, they were like above and beyond. So like your strong athletes, they would come out. I mean, we'd be piddling around with like the 225 on the snatch, and these guys would come out, back then, 275, boom, 295. All the girls would be, they'd have those handful of the women that would get up to like the 180, 185 snatch, which now, again, is not a big deal. Back then, it was a gigantic deal. Yeah. And the athletes that had that were the beasts. They had no problem with the hang cleans. They had no problem with the heavy deadlifts in the final workout. So everybody was doing that. Strength bias became like a thing,
right? And
you had to get stronger. And just like we said, the open had a certain program, the regional had a certain program, so that you could get the games and get the difference there. So that watching, especially from our point of view now, from where we are 2021, looking back and seeing how that growth has happened, not only on the program side, because I mean, Dave was trying to figure out How do we get the right athletes there? How do we do that? And again, he has always had to look at the big picture, which a lot of times most people don't do. They just see the open program. It's like, oh, here's a program. Was it a good program or not? Well, it depends. What was the goal of that? What's the regional program? What's the goal of that? He would look at where we look at just the regionals, like you said here, with all 6 elements on the page. He's looking at all the elements. Did we get the fittest people to the end? And did we get the right people in the field? So, I mean, there's so many elements, and we were so young in the sport, so young in the program. But you're right. It was this year that everybody just flipped and lost their shit on what am I supposed to do? And I will take and do as much, keep putting more on me. I just have to get stronger. I'm going to get bigger. Like, even the bodies of the athletes started to change at this time because of what they were putting themselves through. It was gnarly.
And again, we say this, like, this had nothing to do with CrossFit. They just looked at what was programmed. I feel like it was this regional, not even the games. Like, you look at the game wasn't that heavy in 2012.
No.
But this regionals, everyone's like, okay, if I want to get to the games, because that's the thing. It wasn't, people here at this time weren't necessarily training for the games. They're training to get to the games.
Yeah.
We didn't have that many perennial athletes yet.
Yeah.
5 going in. And so everyone's number one life goal was to make it to the games, because there's only been 5 of them. So saying you're a games athlete then was a very, very like coveted thing to say. It's like, yeah, I'm an X game. I made the games, one of the 5 that was ever there.
Yeah,
Now there's hundreds of them. So now it's how you perform at the games, not just getting to the games. So people looked at this regional like, okay, if I want to get to the games, if I want to be a games athlete, and that's my only goal, that's my only measure of success, well, then it was, well, I got to get stronger. I got to do more volume and all this. And that's when volume became king. That's when PRs and big lifts became king, not general physical preparedness, overall varied balanced programming, work capacity across broad times and modal domains. That was out the window for these programs. It was just like more. And it might've got you there.
Yeah.
But the fallout of that, I think that also led to a lot of the stigma of CrossFit's dangerous because of what was happening people after 2012 regionals.
I agree.
The way people were training, not taught how to train, right? CrossFit didn't teach this. They programmed one regional and everybody just like lost their mind. It really did feel like that. More weight, more reps, more volume, more workouts, no rest days. Like
active recovery, non-rest days.
Right.
Oh, so on my rest day, I'm going to go ahead and run a marathon and do 3 triathlons. And
my rest day is just,
row 10,000 meters.
Right. And I feel like that's what stemmed unintentionally, programming wise, around the community.
Yeah.
After this regional.
Yeah.
And we're going to see later is that one person recognizes where the community shifts of programming and what they're doing, and he flips it on you. And that's Dave. And it's coming.
Oh, yeah.
Not quite yet, but it's coming. And I really love that about Dave, because he's so not involved, but he's very aware.
Yeah.
Kind of the best way I can describe it. Like, Dave doesn't really like subscribe to the chatter, but he's aware of it. Right? He doesn't listen to people's podcasts or watches their YouTube videos, but he's aware. He understands. He sees what's going on. He's like, okay, I'm going to do this. And that'll creep up later down the road for regionals. But that was 2012. Okay, so overall view of the 2012 regionals by itself. For me, there's a lot of events I like. There's a lot of moments that I enjoyed personally, whether what I watched or coached or experienced. But I don't know. My Element 26 thumb up review. I'm going to give it... I have to give it what it was and not what it could have been. And I'm not going to fault any fallout from this. I'm going to give it 1. I'm going to give it a 1.
Okay.
Not a lot of variance. A lot of strength. A lot of heavy pulling from the floor. Not a lot of variance of time frames. We were really at two sides of the spectrum, short, fast, or longer to moderate. And then the kitchen sink final that really didn't have much of a rhyme or reason tied with it. Didn't really pull it together. I enjoyed it, but I'll give it a 1 thumb up. So I'm giving it a positive review. It just, it was regionals. I give it 1.
It's hard to choose which lens to look at this under. Do I look at it as just the events as they are right now, just these 6, or do I try to put it in the context of 2012 with what this is trying to do as far as getting certain athletes to the games that have already qualified through the Open and then to here? Is that part of it? Is that why it was programmed a certain way?
I like establishing, though, what your metrics are.
Yeah, no, it's hard. Well, because I think that changes it a little bit. You're right. If we look at it as just this piece, was this a good test of fitness? We're missing all kinds of pieces.
Okay.
If we are looking at as, well, okay, we did a lot of our short, fast, lighter stuff or middle ground stuff. We did that in the Open, so we didn't have to do it again. Okay, then maybe some of those cracks got filled in a little bit. I still feel that there is some redundancy. Whereas we're snatching, then we're dumbbell snatching, we're deadlifting twice. We are missing some pieces. I don't like the way the last event was put together. It just seemed oddly kind of haphazard. But I really liked the pieces. I liked the fact that we had a named workout to start with. I liked I liked even the shock of the heavy hang cleans.
I did too. I liked that event.
I like the long high volume of event 4. I think I will go just a touch up from you. So I'll go 1 1/4 thumbs on this one. I think I went 1 1/2 on the last one. I think I'm going to go 1 1/4 on this one because I like what it is, but there was a definite difference between this one and 2011. There was a definite purpose, so I can see that. I just think it may have not been as cleanly produced as it could have been, with the redundancies and stuff like that. But I really liked it. I mean, there were a lot of really, personal moments for me during this one, obviously, and actually, I think that part of me is kind of surprised that I'm doing that. I think I would have ranked it a little higher than that just because of my personal stuff. But I got to go for what the numbers are. And I really, it's a good one, but there's some pieces missing. So I'll go 1 1/4.
All right. I'll give it a 1. You give it 1 1/4.
There we go.
Still on the positive green side. There's Rotten Tomatoes. We'd still have a red tomato.
There you go. There you go.
But that's just the way we look at it. Again, we look at it at a lot of different ways. I like the way you pre-qualified what you're looking at and how. And I look at it in terms of, I didn't compete this year. I was on the outside looking in. I'm looking more you're right, the redundancy of the numbers and things like that. And did anyone qualify to the CrossFit Games that shouldn't have been there? I would say no.
I would say no.
Was there a bias of the type of athlete that did there? I would say yes, based off what the programming was, but nobody's there. You're like, you don't belong here. Like, you can't fake these 6 events. That's the other thing too, right? You still had to be pretty darn good and pretty darn fit to make the top 3 because they're only taking 3.
This was, I think, the last year that they did the legacy. I think this is the last year they had the legacy.
Oh, that's right. Because if you had the legacy is if you won the CrossFit Games, you could skip regionals and go directly to the games.
Yeah, which we had. Chris Clever was one on the women's side.
Rich
was there. Obviously,
they still had to do regionals.
Oh no, they had to do it.
Right.
But they got the berth in, so you would take the next. Like if they were on the podium, then they would take one extra
Right.
one extra up. So I know they did that on the women's side. In fact, I think that's how Lindsay Valenzuela got there that year.
Well, yes, and in the Central East, that was the year where they took.
Was that the Marcus Hendren and the
so Rich had he podiumed and he'd won in 2011. Graham got
right
4, so they brought Graham up. I think Dan Bailey was in the top 3 because it was like Rich, Scott Panchek's first year.
Yeah.
Rich, Scott Panchek,
Graham,
Bailey. Graham was 4th, I think. And so they pulled Graham up, but like, okay, well, you're a past champion too. So then they made the on-field decision.
Literally on the field.
They're like, well, yeah, it's like they were having like this discussion like during the who are we going to announce it? And so they pulled up Marcus Hendren.
Yeah.
And they got a lot of flack for that from the community, which is no surprise because the community usually doesn't know what they're talking about in general. They're just reacting to things. And then all 5 of them were in the top 10 CrossFit Games that year.
Yeah.
And this is also the year that we're like, okay, it was super heavy, high volume, which we said ad nauseum, but like these 5 dudes out of the Central East also made it in the top 10. And then that's when the Central East got the reputation of what it was. We're like, do not. that is the deep black water where great white sharks. And that's when you start to see people. That's when people started.
What region can I go to? Can I move away to?
Another fallout of this year's regionals. Not just the overtraining programmers out there, but it was like everybody started jumping ship to different the next year, which a lot went into my region. I don't blame them. South Central is like a baby pool.
The kiddie pool
versus pools the deep
versus the Devil's Triangle.
Essentially, that's right. Oh, that was fun.
Man, that was a crazy. There was a lot of stuff that happened that year, man. A lot of stuff. Young CrossFit. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I will say this, like that was what was really, when you stand back and look at it, what's really impressive is how many people just went for it. Yes. They just went. I mean, with all that programming, we talk about, how, the volume and the heavy and the people didn't care. I will do whatever it takes. Mm-hmm. Give me whatever, however, I don't care. Like that, there was this jump of pure, like I'm the athlete. Tell me what I need to do. I will do I need to jump off this roof. Okay. How many times?
Yeah.
You need me to sit underwater for 15 minutes without, okay. You need me to carry this dumb barbell 1.5 miles on my back. I don't, just tell me when and where and how, and I will do anything.
You know what? I know we're talking about the fallout community wise, not community wise, programming wise from other people. Again, not CrossFit.
Yeah.
This was when it started to turn, and I think into a legitimate sport, and just. It turned into people turning themselves into athletes, not just people who worked out and were good at it.
Yep.
This was the year where the dividing line was created.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, I can't just be good at this, right? We're not just working out anymore.
Nope.
This was the year where the tide turned into, if you want to be serious about this, this is what everybody else is doing. Whether you agree with it or not, this is what they were doing. And if you're going to have to beat them, you're going to have to figure out a way to do it better or as equal to, because this is the direction that these athletes are going. And just as you said, they'll do another workout. This is my 10th one of the day. Would you want to go to the games or not? And you're like, all right, fine.
Totally. Man, that was a heavy line drawn in the sand. Heavy.
Yeah,
line.
This was the year.
Yeah.
I'll still give it a 1. Positive review. Too many negatives to bump it up to a 2, right? Like I would say your memories gave you the extra quarter.
Well, again, I think maybe. Like I said, it really depends on how you're looking at it. If you're looking at just the numbers, you're right, missing some pieces. If you're looking at it, with the open, I think that changes a little bit. But I'll still do that. I'll still do that. 1.25.
Yeah, and I get a 1.
There you go.
All right. Well, I would love to hear what everyone else thought about that regional, if you even knew about it. Oh, they did have, by the way, they had cuts.
Oh, yeah.
They had cuts into the final event. They had cuts and they had DNF withdrawals, which again,
not even messing around.
Yeah, they weren't messing around. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine if they tried that now?
The uproar.
Like,
but what about my feelings, Chase? My feelings
friend,
are going to be hurt if I can't compete.
My friend wins Diane, and then just because he's not strong, he gets cut from the competition after 2 events of the whole year of training and all the travel and the money and the blah. Shut up. Welcome to sports.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
F your feelings. Refer to my latest Instagram post.
Oh, man.
You know what's great? So quick little backstory is like, my son was at our gym and he was now to be fair, there was only so much context I could put in 120 effing characters on Twitter. But I'm working out. I'm on a rower dying. And Dylan comes up like, I was like, what's the matter, buddy? He's like, Juliana won't let me win. She keeps beating me.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. Like, in what? He's like, we're racing. I was like, well, you got to run faster. If like, I'm not going to tell her to slow down for you, buddy. Like, that's just, if you want to win, you got to go faster. Right. And, Juliana's 5 and my son's 3.5 and she's just smoking him. Like, it doesn't matter if my son trained. He's 3.5, right?
Right.
He is not going to beat her, maybe ever, right? If he has my genes, he will never beat her in a foot race. If he has my wife's, different story. But, it's like he was upset because he wasn't winning. And so, like, we afterwards were like, hey, listen, like, if you want these things, like, we're not just going to give it to you, right? I empathize with your being upset, but, like, I'm not going to just hand it to you because of your feelings, right? I'll acknowledge your feelings and we'll discuss why, but like, I'm like, hey, Juliana, will you just let him win one? I'm not going to say that. Like, that's bullshit. So
I would give you so much crap if you did that. I just wanted to just, give him one. Yeah. I'd be like, we're ending this podcast right now.
Oh, it was great because like Juliana's mom, Marley, was right there with me. And I was like, hey, buddy, you got to run fast. She goes, told you. And then so to wrap the story up is that yesterday he was running, or no, sorry, it was Sunday. It was this weekend. He was running up and down the hall in our house. And he goes, I'm getting faster, Dad. I'm like,
nice.
Goddamn right you are.
Get that prep in there.
Running. If you long story short, we explained the situation. We're just not going to hand it to him. And then he wanted to work harder on his own because he wanted to become faster.
Life lessons.
Life challenges.
It's amazing.
Yes. That was it.
It's amazing how that works. Strong work there, Pop.
Thanks, man. Like, what would Bill do? Shit, what would my dad do?
Yeah.
Oh, what would my dad do? That's really where it all ends up being. All right, buddy. That was super fun.
That was a good one.
Can't wait to see your bro.
I know. You guys have a good workout, I hope. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, it'll be good times. And yeah. All right, bro. Have a good week.
All right, you too.
All right, everyone. Hope you had a good time. Next up will be the 2013 CrossFit Regionals. Until then, you guys have a great week, great weekend. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.